Of the 30 best paid people in football, only 2 are managers, and there isn't a single manager among football's 20 highest earners. One could make a case for that being a little counterintuitive, since I would argue that there isn't a single Liverpool player who is more important to that club than Jurgen Klopp, nor a single Manchester City player more important to that club than Pep Guardiola, just as 2 high-profile examples. Today's video is all about managers who I think are being a little undervalued, or a lot in some cases. As with the couple of occasions in the past in which I've done videos on 7 underpaid players, I'm talking about managers who are underpaid in relation to their peers. Yes, they all earn more than you or I, none of them are struggling to get by, and yes, I also think that nurses and healthcare assistants should be paid more than they are. The point of this video is that in a world where Fabio Cannavaro earns almost £250,000 a week as a manager, I think these guys could make a case for earning a little bit more. I am not saying that their wages are the most pressing economic matter facing the planet right now. Hopefully that is clear enough. Also, my boss told me on a Skype call today that there's no chance HITC Sevens will hit 300,000 subscribers this month. So if you'd like to expose him, as the moron he really is by subscribing if you don't already, that would be most appreciated. Thankfully, he doesn't actually watch any of my videos, given that I just called him a moron. And if I'm not on this channel from tomorrow onwards, then I guess he decided to watch this one, and that was a reckless decision on my part. Follow me on Twitter at @HITC Sevens so I can update you all on my new channel, should that be the case. Okay, well, whilst I am still employed, here are my views on the 7 most underpaid managers in world football. Hansi Flick, £21,000 a week. I feel as though there are 2 points to address with regards to Hansi Flick's spot in 7th place. Firstly, why he features in this 7, and secondly, why he only comes in 7th. When Hansi Flick took over at Bayern Munich from Niko Kovac on November 3, 2019, Bayern had just lost 5-1 to Eintracht Frankfurt in the club's heaviest defeat for a decade. The club was in 4th place in the Bundesliga table, having won just 5 of their first 10 league games, and having fallen to Borussia Dortmund in the DFL Super Cup. Flick's first 4 games were a mixed bag, winning 2 and losing 2, but the club hasn't lost a single match since. In fact, in their last 26 games, Bayern have won 25 and drawn only once. It's an incredible run of form, making them Europe's in-form club right now, featuring a DFB Pokal trophy and a Champions League first leg demolition of Chelsea. It's early days for Flick, but he couldn't really have made a better start, and from 4th place when he took over, Bayern have won yet another Bundesliga title at a canter on his watch. Given all that I've just said, it seems a little absurd that Flick should be earning less than half what David Moyes and Nigel Pearson earn in the Premier League, with a reported salary of just £21,000 a week. Well, why isn't he top? It's just a case of experience. Flick has done an excellent job, but over a very short period of time, so whilst he deserves his place, I think 7th is about right for the former Cologne and Bayern Munich midfielder. Sergio Conceicao, £18,000 a week. Across the board, Portuguese Primeira Liga clubs don't tend to offer managers enormous salaries. As such, a couple of Liga NOS bosses were in contention, but who could be a better candidate for inclusion than the man who, barring a miracle, is about to win his 2nd Primeira Liga title in just 3 seasons with Porto. As with Flick, Conceicao is a fairly young boss currently managing one of his former clubs, but unlike Flick, he does have almost a decade of first-team management under his belt. Formerly of Braga, Vitória and Nantes, Conceicao was offered the Porto job as a replacement for his former teammate Nuno Espirito Santo. In his first season in charge, Conceicao guided Porto to the Primeira Liga title, as well as reaching the knockout stages of the Champions League. Last season, Porto missed out on the league title by 2 points, reaching the Champions League quarter-finals. And this season, Porto are 6 points clear at the top of the Primeira Liga table with just 4 games to go. It's been an excellent first 3 seasons for Conceicao, who some might suggest is unfortunate to be earning just 40% of Dean Smith's supposed salary at Aston Villa. Conceicao has been talked about as being a candidate for Newcastle's new boss, should any of their reported takeovers be completed, and a move to the Premier League would certainly come with a hefty pay rise. Piero Gasperini, £46,000 a week. There are a number of fantastic Italian football managers, but one could argue that there are none finer, or at least non-defying expectations more, than Piero Gasperini right now. Gasperini's managerial career, which began with Crotone in 2003, has had its fair share of ups and downs. He had a really impressive 4 seasons with Genoa, followed immediately by a disastrous 5-game stint at Inter Milan to put things into some perspective. In the right environment though, and when given the time and freedom to implement his ideas, Gasperini can create magic. He has done just that at Atalanta since being appointed by the Bergamo-based outfit in 2016. Prior to Gasperini's arrival, Atalanta had just had 5 consecutive bottom half finishes following promotion from Serie B, and the club had never finished in the top 4 places in Serie A. In his first season, Gasperini ended that record, finishing 4th, followed by a 7th place finish in 2017-18, a new record 3rd place finish last season, and the Banshees currently found themselves in 4th once again in Italian football's top flight. Gasperini's accomplishments, achieved on a relative shoestring budget, have been about much more than just results. Atalanta play a vibrant brand of attacking football and have been brilliant to watch under the experienced boss, whose supposed £46,000 a week salary is peanuts in relation to the job he has done in Lombardy. Gheorghe Hagi, £111 a week. Okay, in the introduction when I said all these managers earn more than you, I may have been wrong, since even I earn more than £111 a week. In fairness, this is a bit of an unusual inclusion which requires some explaining, and Gheorghe Hagi's £111 a week salary isn't his entire income, so he probably still earns more than 99% of us. The Romanian Maradona, Gheorghe Hagi, had a magnificent career, starring for the likes of Barcelona, Real Madrid, and perhaps most famously, Galatasaray. The legendary attacking midfielder hung up his boots in 2001, aged 36, and was immediately appointed as manager of the Romanian national team. Hagi's managerial career had been something of a mixed bag, involving a lot of new clubs, but he has finally found an owner who will stick with him, a Romanian club, Viitorul Constanța. Himself. Yes, that's right, having founded Viitorul Constanța in 2009, Gheorghe Hagi took over the reins as manager of the club in 2014. In fairness, Hagi has done a very good job in charge of his own club, helping them to a maiden top-flight title, ahead of both Steaua and Cluj in 2017, to win his second Romanian Coach of the Year award. As owner of the club though, Hagi doesn't want to be wasting a fortune on wages, and he reportedly pays himself a very modest £111 a week. That is significantly less than the average net salary in Romania, which is just over €1,000 a month, and it almost certainly makes Hagi the lowest paid elite manager on earth. It's a bit of an odd one, but I couldn't leave him out. Nuno Espirito Santo, £40,000 a week. We have already talked about the current Porto boss in this 7, but in 3rd place is the man he replaced in Portugal's second city. A retired goalkeeper who spent most of his playing days as a number 2, Nuno Espirito Santo moved into first team management in 2012. In his first job, Santo took Rio Ave into Europe for the first time in the club's history, earning him a job at Valencia. Following a 4th place finish in La Liga and 3 Manager of the Month awards, Santo's next job was back at his former club Porto. That stint ended in disappointment after just a single season, and that allowed Championship side Wolves, through their newfound Portuguese connections, to lure Santo to Molineux. Wolves had a loaded squad at Championship level, but Santo not only won the Championship title, he did so in style. That was followed by a 7th place finish in the Premier League in what was one of the best seasons a newly promoted club has had in recent memory. This season the Wolves boss has had to juggle Europa League and Premier League commitments, but he has done so expertly, with Wolves putting up impressive fights on both fronts. In the Premier League, Wolves are 6th right now, looking like a good bet for Europa League qualification and an outside bet for the Champions League. In Europe, Wolves just need to overcome Olympiacos at home to reach the semi-finals, and they could still win the competition. Santo has done a magnificent job, and the fact that he reportedly earns close to a 5th of Jose Mourinho's Tottenham salary doesn't seem quite right. Zinedine Zidane, £86,000 a week. I had to do a double take when I saw this one, but apparently it is true. Given that Real Madrid are one of, if not the biggest football club on earth, and Zinedine Zidane masterminded 3 Champions League triumphs in 3 seasons before being begged to come back and do some firefighting, I had assumed that he would be one of the best paid managers on earth. Apparently, it isn't so though, with the Frenchman said to be on £86,000 a week. That makes him the highest earner in this 7, but it's still less than 17 other managers from across the World Cup, and it's less than half the salary of former Real boss Rafa Benitez. Aside from Zidane's obvious accomplishments in Europe, he has rescued what looked like a dangerous post-Ronaldo slide for Los Blancos. I would argue that the work Zidane has done this season, should the club go on to win a La Liga title as now looks likely, it would actually be the greatest testament to his talents as a manager yet. It's one thing to keep a team motivated and juggle personalities when everything is going well, but the work Zizou has done since returning to the club indicates that he could well be the real deal in management terms. With all that taken into consideration, Zidane surely has to be considered among the best managers on earth, and his salary simply does not reflect that fact. Chris Wilder, £40,000 a week. I wonder if Chris Wilder, whilst he was playing in the old 3rd Division for Halifax Town, ever thought he'd be ranked one place above Zinedine Zidane in any list of any kind. I suspect not, but subscribers to this channel will be well aware of the high regard that I hold the oft prickly Sheffield United boss in. The work that he has done not just at Sheffield United, but also at Halifax Town, Oxford United and Northampton Town has been nothing short of superb. But even I didn't expect this kind of debut campaign from the Blades back in the big time. With very limited resources by Premier League standards, Chris Wilder has got a team that he inherited in League One, sitting above the likes of Tottenham Hotspur and Everton in the Premier League. That is some achievement, and outside of the traditional top 6 or 7 clubs, I'm not sure there's a better manager in English football than Chris Wilder. The former lower league fullback has worked miracles wherever he has been, and he is worth far more to Sheffield United than any individual player. In fairness, his reported £40,000 a week salary is said to make him the joint highest earner at Bramall Lane, but it's still a very modest figure in relation to the work that he has done. Sheffield United could still be in the Champions League next season, albeit it is unlikely, but that's an incredible thing to be saying with not many games left this season. It seems a little wrong to me that he should earn less than David Moyes, based upon recent accomplishments, or less than a sixth of the salary of Carlo Ancelotti at Everton, but that's just my take. That's it for today's video, but honourable mentions do go to the likes of Jurgen Klopp, who earns a lot, but still not as much as the amount of value he has added to Liverpool Football Club, Gheorghe Jesus, Marcelo Bielsa, and potentially Neil Critchley at Blackpool, who I think could prove to be a very shrewd appointment by the Seasiders. That's all from me, thank you all for watching. Hit that like button and subscribe to help me prove my boss wrong if you're feeling kind. Feel free to let me know your thoughts down below in the comments, and have a quite exquisite day.